How's it going, everybody? So yeah, I was thinking the other day, yesterday when I was playing Armor King for a bit, why I ultimately don't really use this character in tournament anymore. Why I gave up on that, and why like people like JCR dropped them, even though that's probably JCR's favorite character. And I got to thinking about why he doesn't really work in Tekken 7, and why he was much better in Tag 2, on top of other things. And why, if you're gonna play a character like Armor King, you're better off just kind of playing King or a Mishima. Which sucks because I love this character. When I started playing Tag 2, he's always been a fixture on pretty much every team I've ever tried in that game. Like my main Asuka, I dropped her so many times, but Armor King was always consistent, which makes me sad. There's a reason you don't really see him in tournament. JCR was the only one that consistently used him. You had Jimmy J that one tournament, but other than that, nobody high level uses Armor King consistently and gets consistent results in tournament. So yeah, it sucks because when he was announced, everybody was super excited. Fucking has this fucking awesome new look. Got all these new cool moves like his Rage Drive and stuff like this. But yeah, everybody, when they saw the release trailer, people were excited. When he got released the next day, people were like, "Oh, this guy's a top 10 character." But as time went on, people's opinions of him went down, and it kept going down, and it kept going down. And I think the moment it was at its lowest was when JCR announced he was going to drop Armor King. So, what did they do to him in Tekken 7 that made him ultimately worse than how he was in Tag 2? So I want to start with the things Armor King does better in Tekken 7 than Tag 2. So yeah, just look at some of his moves. So the first move is his Rage Art. You know, obviously Rage was not a thing in Tag 2. At least not the way it is in Tekken 7, but his Rage Art's really good. It has a really low hitbox. It low crushes too, so if you time it with a low, it will often make the low whiff, which is really great, especially if you're really low and basically anything will kill you. So yeah, really good Rage Art. Rage Art's not so great, but we'll get into that later. Let's see, what else? He got his punishment, his standing punishment got improved when they made his forward 1+4 his shoulder 13 frames. It used to be 14 in Tag 2. So he got a big buff to his punishment. And I mean, it did get a damage reduction, but it's whatever. His 1-2-1 got a really nice buff. That the last hit, if it counter hits, gets that stun, which gives you mix-ups. Down 3, it was basically the same as it was in Tag 2 to start, but they gave it a nice buff in Season 3. They gave it this, they made it +9 and gave this great stun. And it's something King doesn't have, even though he does have down 3, he doesn't have this stun. So, ultimately, better. Really good. He did get some nice cancels. He got forward 3 back, and full crouch, crouch dash 3 cancel. So pretty nice mix-ups. Forward 1+2 got turned from a punch parry to armor move. Pretty good. It is punishable on block, but for being a mid armor move with pretty good range and a knockdown with some Oki, it's not bad. Down forward 2 on counter hit basically got turned into a launcher with a 3+4-1. And in general, his combos are much better than they were in Tag 2. He has more damage. He's like, bare minimum, you're going to get 70 damage with him off his best launchers. He has 78. You could like optimize that for like 80 and stuff. But yeah, he got Down forward 2 became a launcher with 3+4-1, which is a new screw move he got. He also got down back 2-4 the screw move, which is an amazing screw. And another move that became a launcher is forward 3 is Sweet Chin Music. Shadow Step 2 was a nice little thing he got out of this, because before you basically have to do this or try some mix-ups like there's basically no reason to duck this before, unless you wanted to try to avoid a throw. But now he has a pretty good low poke that gives them pretty good on counter hit. It gives a knockdown. So you go and do some shit like this. Back 1+4 is got a massive buff in Tekken 7. In pretty much every other game, it was so slow, it's so bad. You would like every time I used the move, I would just cringe. I never used it in Attack 2. The only time I used it in Attack 2 is because I'm used to the Tekken 7 version. But this move is amazing. It's basically one of his best panic moves. Probably his only real panic move. It has a big range. It sidesteps a ton of stuff. Like Harwang's Rage Art, which is safe on block, can be completely avoided with this move, and you get a guaranteed shoulder afterwards. Burning Knuckle became a little better because it's a little easier to do now. Before you have to do like you have to go from up forward 1+2 to like down forward 1+2, which was a little weird to do in the previous games. Whereas King always could just hold it. So now it's more like King's. Pretty good. And Giant Swing is one of the only throws that is better with Armor King than it is on King, because it has a smaller tech window. It has the Season 1 King tech window, whereas King in Season 2 had it nerfed to where it's easier to tech. But pretty much that's pretty much everything that got better. His punishment's a little better, his combo damage is a little better, and he has some nice buffs to certain moves that were pretty useless before, like full crouch or back 1+4. But other than that, So what became worse, and why isn't Armor King great in this game? Well, in general, he has several big problems, like weak tracking moves. He's very linear. You can size him right all the time. He's prone to ducking. Like, people just, like, all the time when I'm playing Armor King, I'm trying to do some stuff, keep him in check. They just fucking duck in my face, and it's so annoying. And it's because Armor King doesn't have any really threatening mids that are worth not ducking against. And on top of that, weaker movement from Tekken 7 in general being a nerf movement game. And Armor King in the old games really excelled on being able to move. So there's three main things I want to talk about. New moves that suck, moves that are worse in Tekken 7 compared to Tag 2, move that Kings does better, and moves that are still the same but are problematic, that are really important for him, that he has to use, but they're very problematic for various reasons. So let's go into new moves that suck. The first thing I want to talk about is his Rage Drive. His Rage Drive is not great. What am I doing? So that's his Rage Drive. On hit, it gives you a free throw attempt. They can't break it, no matter what throw you do. There you go, so for some pretty nasty shit. Now, it seems great, but the problem is, it's a high. So, as always, you can fucking duck them, which I was talking about earlier. Yeah, like that. And this. Not only that, yeah, it has weird, like, it hits from pretty far away, and it makes certain throws whiff that you're going for. So unless you pick the right, you have to know what range you're at, or else your throw might whiff, which is really annoying, especially since the whole point is to get a free throw. So another big problem for this move is that by itself, it does no damage. 0 damage. So you pretty much have to go for a throw. So if something weird happens, like they jump for whatever reason, and you do it, it just knocks them down, and you don't get that throw attempt. So basically, you just lose rage if they do jump or something else crazy happens. Because by itself, it does no damage. So it leads to a rage drive that just isn't really usable. You gotta like make sure they're not gonna duck you. And if they jump or do something crazy and it hits them anyway, it sucks because you don't get anything out of it because it does no damage. So the next move, the only other move I have on here that sucks is his new 3+4 unblockable throw. But we'll get into that in a sec. The other things are, so the next thing I want to talk about is moves that are worse in Tekken 7 compared to Tag 2. And so the big move that got changed, that is one of his most important moves, like panic moves and like respect me moves, is his sidestep 2, his death sandwich. This move is not anywhere near what it was in Tag 2. In Tag 2, it used to cause like this stun, which would basically give him a knockdown. Here, let me make sure it doesn't get up. I want to see. So that knockdown would basically give him like a free 3+4, which would give him all kinds of mix-ups and like combo setups, and it was really great in Tag 2. I'll probably like show it in Tag 2 some other time. But this move got nerfed in Tekken 7 because now you get like it's -1 on hit and you don't get any kind of stun if you do it by yourself. So now in order to get anything out of it, you have to do the whole string, which is bad because if they block it, it's -13. So whereas before in Tag 1 or in Tag 2, you get this really nice stun, which gives you a bunch of mix-ups and things like that. And if you want to commit for the damage, you could do the full string. Now, in order to get anything out of it, you have to do the whole string. Basically, it requires a read because you don't want to just throw it out. And that leads into the next one. So sidestep 2 would lead into nice mix-ups for 3+4, and 3+4 ultimately got nerfed too. So what makes 3+4 bad? Here, let me just have him block. Is that before you would have a ton of mix-ups out of back turn. You put him into back turn, you get a ton of mix-ups. You could go for a mid. You could go for this other mid right here. A high jab. A lot of stuff, basically. You do unblockable setups. You do stuff like this. Bunch of really nice mix-ups. The best part about this, going back turn though, is that you would get an unseeable normal throw. So it was amazing in Tag 2 for getting like a 50-50 throw mix-up because you could barely see what throw he's doing. I don't even think you can. I'm trying to see. It ain't happening. So this ultimately got nerfed because normal throws are broken by either 1 or 2, so there's no longer a mix-up. You can't do a command throw out of it. So you can only do normal throws, and you can just break those with 1 or 2. So the mix-up is completely gone. So what else can you do? Well, you could do his unblockable moonsault, which is worse than King's. Doesn't have the range that King's has, and it got a big damage nerf from Tag 2. In Tag 2, it used to do absurd damage, but in this game, it does only 20 damage, which is nothing. On top of that, I mean, you still have this stuff, which I think I'm not 100% sure. I think it got easier to jab and maybe got harder, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But he did get this move, which is unblockable, unbreakable throw, does a lot of damage. This move sucks because, well, for one, they could avoid it by ducking, which is good. It should have a way to counter. But the problem with this move is the hitbox is ridiculously bad. A backdash or like backdash or sidestep or any kind of like, if you're basically not at point blank with this move, you're not gonna hit it. It's just gonna whiff and you're just gonna be back turn and you're just gonna eat shit. So basically, I don't really use this move much. I only really ever use it as a round ender, and even then, I'm terrified it's gonna whiff, and I'm just gonna die because my back's to them and I can't really do anything. The next, yeah, we talked about 1+4. The next move I want to talk about is down 2. Down 2 in tag 2. Let me see real quick. So this move got nerfed in frames. Down 2 in tag 2 was a -1. It became -5 in Tekken 7. So you would have this really good mid that would basically, it would make, it's minus on block, but not, it's only -1, so you can still continue your offense basically. But now it's -5. You basically just lose your turn, and you're in crouch. So good luck doing anything out of that. On top of that, I mean, it became -5 because he did get this new extension out of it, but you only really use this at the wall, and it's -11 if you do the whole thing. So next topic is moves that King does better. So on top of, you know, having those moves, I mean, the moves he has that are really good, King also has, and King does them better. So let's see, let's have a repeat action here. So the first move is let me record it. First move I'm gonna look at is 4-2-1. So Armor King's 4-2-1 is worse than King's for two big reasons. One, it doesn't do as much damage. King's does 32 damage by itself, while Armor King does 32 damage by itself, while King's does 37. On top of that, King has mix-ups out of it. You know, he has down or forward down 1-2, which is a launcher. So if they try to duck, the second hit which is a high, he could do a mid and launch you. Armor King doesn't have anything like that. He doesn't have any kind of mix-ups out of it. So if he does a second hit, you could just duck it and you get a launch. So yeah, that's one reason why that move sucks. Well, that doesn't suck. It's a great tool, but that's one reason why King has it better. Next move is back 1. Now King's is also 12, but the difference between King and Armor King is that for Armor King to get a combo off of it, he has to do this. Which, for one, the timing is really tricky. You have to really practice the timing, or else it's gonna, if you are late on it, you don't get anything out of it. You just basically get that. And also, depending on where you hit it, it might not even, it'll give you this weird pickup where you can't really get a combo off of it. Now King, on the other hand, he doesn't have to do that. All King has to do... Hold on, let's see. All King has to do basically is just do down 4-3-4, down forward 4-3. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. But not only is this doesn't even work a lot of the time, depending on the character. If you're playing against like a character like Gigas or Jack, you have to modify your combo. You have to do like 3+4-1, which doesn't work on small characters. So you have to change your combo depending on who you're playing. Whereas King, no matter which character he's playing against, he could just do down forward 4-3 and always get an easy combo. 1+4, I already talked about it, but King's does more damage and this has bigger hitbox. Let me show it. Yeah, King's does 3 more damage, but the big difference is King's has a much better hitbox. Let's see what else. Full crouch down forward 2. Oh shit. Full crouch down forward 2. God damn it, stay still, King. Full crouch down forward 2. Armor Kings and Kings both give you a launch. Armor Kings is +1 on block, whereas Kings is punishable. Wait, let me record this. Yeah, Kings is minus 14, whereas Armor Kings is plus 1. But what Kings is ultimately better is it's amazing as like a panic tool. You just duck somebody and just launch them with that because it's much faster. Kings comes out in 15 frames, but Armor Kings is like really slow at 23, or no, 24 actually. So it's ultimately more usable. Much easier to just like throw out compared to Armor King, which you really kind of. I mean, it's still a really good move, but you really got to be careful when using it because it's slow compared to Kings. King as a whole has better throws than Armor King. That's pretty obvious. Anybody who's played either character or just watched them. I'm not really gonna get into that, but the two throws I want to talk about is his Shining Wizard throw. Kings has a better Shining Wizard, both the air throw and the normal one. Okay. So real quick, just looking at it. So Kings leaves you at like 1.1, right? Basically right at his feet for like disgusting Oki. Armor King on the other hand, if he does the same throw, I fucked it up. Why am I fucking it up? Right. Armor King, if he does the same throw, throws him at like from 3.1 meters away. So you don't get the Oki that King gets off that throw. Not only that, if King does it in a combo, Armor King, he's basically at 1.6, whereas if Armor King does that same combo, or does the same throw, god damn it, why am I fucking this up? Oh my god. I never mess this up in matches. But I'm fucking it up here. Hold on, wait, let me do it in the open air. Oh my god. Okay. This is gonna be the one. I wanted to make a point that Armor King's air throw also throws him further away than King, but I keep messing it up for some reason. Oh well, my point still stands. Basically, his Shining Wizard, Armor King Shining Wizard, throws King way further away than King's same throw. And then King's ground throws are more usable than Armor King's. Armor King's ground throws only really work at the wall because this throw picks him up. It gives him this nice stun, but it's only usable at the wall because in open air, you just basically just pick him up and it resets neutral. Whereas King, he gets a full-on mix-up that guarantees damage no matter which version you do. Now, I actually really like this throw a lot, so I wouldn't change it, but it is one thing to know that King does that better. And then the last thing, that's basically all the moves I want to cover from that King does better. The last thing I want to talk about with Armor King is moves that haven't really changed from Tekken Tag 2, that are still problematic, that combined with the moves that are worse, just make him a weaker character. So let's have him stand guard. So the first move is 1+2 2, 1+2 4. These moves suck because again it just doesn't really help him with like ducking. If you just duck this and you launch him, or if you decide to duck it and he does the mid and you block it, it's minus 13. So there's really no reason to ever duck this, and it's minus 3. So he does this move, he loses momentum unless it hits. Down back 3, only launches on counter hit, launch punishable on block. Really slow. You have to use this move though because it's you gotta take the lows where you get them. You do get a counter hit launch, but it's super risky. It basically goes back to my problem where the only way you're winning with Armor King is if you're reading your opponent. Down back 1+2 is one of his only plus on block mids, but it's super slow and only really gives you +3 compared to something like forward forward 1 for Asuka or like wall running 2 for Dragunov. It's not a usable move. On top of that, I mean, the range is decent, but it's like slow and it's pretty linear. It's not really a move you do a lot with him, unless you really want those plus frames. Back 1+2, another one of his only plus on block mids, but it's only +1 on block. It has terrible range. It's super slow. Yeah, it's just really bad. On counter hit, it does give you a guaranteed 4-2-1 or dark upper if you're really good. But for how slow this move is, it's not great. I mean, King has like 4 neutral 1+2. I think it's basically the same move, but it's like much faster, much more usable, and ultimately it's more it has better range too. And then we got Dark Upper, which is his most important Whiff Punisher, and one of the most important moves. But again, it's high. You can't use it as a poke because it's -10 on block, and people just like to duck in Armor King's face, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you have to use this move because it's the most important Whiff Punisher, where you're gonna get all your damage. Still great. It's a great move, but it's just high and unsafe. So it's best used as a Whiff Punisher, but it's hard to get Whiff Punishers with him. And it's hard to keep people from ducking because of a move like this. Wall running 3. Hold on, let me have him block. Wall running 3 is really good, but it's super linear. It's +10 on block. Actually, wait, is it +10 on block? Yeah, it's +10, but that's pushback. So you get a pretty good plus frames on it, but it's super linear, so if they read it, they're just gonna sidestep you and do whatever they want. On top of that, you could often get jabbed out of it. The only time I use this move is I think they're gonna duck me. They're gonna try to duck my Shining Lizard. That's when I try to use it, but there's a big risk to using it, even though it's really good. Up forward 3 got buffed in Season 3. You get this nice little launch now, but it's super slow. You're not going to really be using it as a counter hit tool. I mostly just use it in combos. Up forward 4 is Hop Kick. While it's not bad, it's not good either. It doesn't have great range, and it really sucks because of his wall standing punishment, which we're going to get into in a bit. Forward forward 2, really good, plus on 7. The problem with this move is if they read it and block it, you're going to get launched. Because it's -18. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, it also launches on counter hit, which is really nice. So yeah, a lot of these moves are either you basically lose your turn when you use them, or if they read you that you're going to do it, you die. That's the problem with these moves that I'm going over. And the last thing I want to talk about, oh yeah, forward forward 3. His best homing move, I think. But the problem is it's a high, so if they read it, they duck. Which with Armor King, people like to duck. And forward forward 3 is not gonna change your mind on ducking you. But if you get it, you know, you get a launch, and it's 0 on block. But again, it's one of those moves where you gotta use it, be careful, because if they read you that you're gonna do it, or if you're gonna do any high whatsoever, they'll just duck you and launch you, and it sucks. And then the last thing I want to talk about is his wall standing punishment, which is awful. So I don't know what lows this King have that are super punishable on block. So say you block a low that King has, whatever it is. The problem with his wall standing punishment is it's awful. You have wall standing 4, which is great. It's really good, +5 on block, and it's one of the most important moves. But after that, you know, you basically get nothing. You get this move at 12, but it's only +2, so you might as well be using wall standing 4, which is +5 and faster. But on counter hit, it does give you this, which is nice, launch, but it's whatever. You're not going to use it. You're not going to use wall standing 2 as a wall standing punish. So what else do you got? Well, basically until 15 you get hop kick, and at 16 you get wall standing 1. The problem with hop kick is its range. So you'll block slippery kicks or something crazy like that, and then you'll do your hop kick and you won't get a launch. Same with wall standing 1. This move is one of his like highest damaging wall standing punishes, but it has a really weird hitbox where it'll just whiff. You see that? So you'll block this you'll block a hell sweep or whatever, you'll block the slippery kicks, and then you can't even launch them because the range on these moves are just so bad. So you have to know what range you're at on whether or not it's worth going for these moves. Because if not, you're just whiffing their face and they get a free attack on you. So yeah, all these reasons are why Armor King just isn't good in Tekken 7. In order to fix them, they gotta really look at a few of these moves and decide which one of these they want to improve. Because right now, as he is, Armor King's biggest problem is that he can't really build momentum because... Hold on, let's have 1%. Because basically every poke he does is minus on block. That's important. Mid-wise, at least. Every low he does, outside of down 3 and down 4, is launch punishable on block. So if they read you, you're dead. His most important moves are highs, which if they duck, you're dead. His throws are easier to break in Tag 2 compared to Tag 2. And King just has them better. So yeah, that's basically all the issues with Armor King and why you don't see him in tournament, and why it makes me sad playing him. Because, you know, he's such a cool character. His moveset is so hard hitting, and I really do love this character, but as far as using him in high level play in tournament, it's just not gonna happen for me. And I don't think it's gonna happen for anybody. I don't know anybody that's gonna be able to make him work as he is right now in high level. JDCR couldn't do it. Jimmy J did it, but he only did it for one tournament, and I don't know if he would have been able to do it consistently. But yeah, if as far as making changes, I wouldn't change everything. I wouldn't buff every move I mentioned. That sucks. But I would really look at a few of them and make them better, you know? I would, at the very least, if I were to buff Armor King, I would at least rework his rage drive somehow. Either give him a new one or buff this one somehow. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about this, but his rage drive could be parried by Leroy on top of everything else. But yeah, I would buff this move, his rage drive somehow. Either give him a new one or figure out a way to make this better. On top of that, I would give forward 2 equal damage to King. Buff down 2 to be -1 or 0 on block. Actually, when I talked to JDCR about this character, that's the one move he said he would change if he could only change one thing, is make this move 0 on block. Sidestep 2, I'd probably consider giving it the old stun it used to have. And, I don't know. Oh yeah, and buff his while standing 1 to have more range. That would be the 3 changes I would make right now, if I had to make some off the top of my head. Other than that, you know, I wouldn't really change much. I mean, yeah, like, back 1 is hard to use compared to King, but, you know, that's the stuff that makes the character cool to play. I wouldn't, nerfs aren't, or being weak at stuff isn't necessarily a bad thing. But he does need changes, I think, in order to see him, like, reach his potential. Other than that, you know, I still play AK, he's fun, I love the character. He's always going to be one of my favorite Tekken characters. But as far as using him in a tournament, I don't think it's going to happen for me. At least not in this game.